Hello, today I want to talk to you about warming up. Are you sufficiently warmed up for the activity you're about to do? So whether that's a ballet class, a contemporary class, ballroom, acrobatics, trapeze, silks, whatever you're about to do, are you physically and mentally prepared to start that activity? So your warm-up should consist of an activity of about 20 to 30 minutes, and it should physically and mentally prepare you for the activity you're about to do. So let's imagine you've been sitting down, you haven't been doing very much. You first need to tell your body and your mind that you're about to do something a little bit more strenuous. So we're not going to go from 0 to 60, we're not going to go from sitting down to sprinting a 100-metre race straight away. We need to tell our body we're going to do something that requires more exertion, so let's gently warm up our body first. So first and foremost, we need to start off by raising our heart rate. Raising our heart rate and our breath is going to start to get more oxygen to the muscles that we're going to be using during our workout and make sure our body is starting to wake up to what we're about to do. So this might be things like taking a brisk walk around the studio or the space that you're in, and we're also going to start to mobilise our joints. So when we mobilise our joints, this means all our joints, not just our ankles, our knees, our hips, but we also need to do our spine, our wrists, especially if we're going to be on our hands, doing handstands or any kind of floor work, shoulders, neck, everything, your fingers, your toes, all your joints need articulating to help to improve the flow of the synovial fluid around your joints, and again to wake up our body and tell it that we're about to do something a bit more strenuous than sitting down or walking. Then we need to gradually increase our heart rate a little bit more. So we're going to start to sweat a little bit. We're going to start to use some of our muscle groups that we're going to be using in our activities. So you need to start thinking about specifically, what am I warming up for? So the way you warm up to sprint, a 100-metre sprint, is going to be different to the way you warm up to get on a flying trapeze. So think about the activity you're going to do. Which muscle groups am I really going to be using in this activity? And start to work on those muscle groups. So if you're going to be using your core a lot, make sure you do some movements that activate the core. Walking planks, inchworms, things that start to tell those muscles you're going to be doing a bit more work in a minute. We might take ourselves into a slight jog or a gallop, still mobilising our joints, and maybe some dynamic stretches. So stretches that are continually moving. So things like a walking lunge, zombie kicks, things that are continually moving so we're not placing any stress on our muscle. Finally, the last section is the really specific part. So this is where we're actually going to start thinking about the activity that we're going to do a bit more. So you might start practicing some choreography. If you're going to be doing something like handstands, maybe you start with a few handstand drills against the wall, maybe a few bunny hops, things like that, things that are related to the activity you're going to do. So if you're about to do a ballet class, you might mark a few steps from the bar. You might work a little bit more on your ankles and your calves. You might also include some of your physio activities at this point. If you've had an injury and your physio has given you some exercises to do, maybe you need to make sure that your intrinsic muscles in your shoulder are activated before you start doing the class because you've had a shoulder injury. Now's the time to work on those activities as well. So this whole process should last 20 to 30 minutes. That means getting to the studio before your class starts. So this should all happen before that first exercise in class. So if we are properly warmed up, then we're at less risk of injury. We are physically and mentally prepared because we've taken our time to get our mind into the space as well. Whatever we were doing before, now we're focused on preparing for this activity. So if we're more focused, we're completely warmed up before we take part in our class, then we'll be less at risk of injury and less at risk of muscle soreness the next day as well. So top tip, make sure you get yourself to the studio early enough to warm up properly, and you'll find that you perform a lot better and are at less risk of injury, which is what we all want. Have a great day.